For 1,000 years, the galaxy was quiet. After centuries of war, death, and destruction, the species of the galaxy finally chose peace. They destroyed their weapons, broke their armies, and built a united system called the Galactic Council. Humanity, once the most dangerous race, also agreed. They changed. They became builders, scientists, and healers. People forgot war. Generations lived and died without seeing a weapon. But peace is a strange thing. It makes people forget danger. It makes them soft, and sometimes it makes them blind. Far from Earth, near the edge of known space, was a small human station called Outwatch 7. It was quiet, lonely, and forgotten. Only 3 people lived there. Their job was simple: watch the dark sky and listen. Then one night, something came. Outwatch 7 picked up a strange signal. It was a message. It was a scream. A sharp digital cry from another human colony, Tryon 4. Before they could understand it, the signal cut off. Then silence. Commander Lian Zhao, the head officer of Outwatch 7, replayed the signal again and again. Her face stayed calm, but inside, she felt a cold fear she hadn't felt in her entire life. "This doesn't make sense," she said, staring at the black screen. "There's nothing near Tryon 4. No pirates, no storms, nothing." Her second officer, Raj Malik, looked pale. Maybe it was an accident." "No accident screams like that," Zhao replied. They sent a report to Earth Command. No reply came. Hours passed. Then another scream, this time from Elio's station, even farther out. Then another. 3 colonies, gone dark in one day. The crew watched, frozen, as dots disappeared from their star map. Not slowly, instantly, cleanly, as if they had never existed. "Somebody's attacking," Zhao whispered. But who? There were no wars in the galaxy, no armies, no enemies. Or so they believed. Back on Earth, in the heart of the Galactic Council, human ambassador Daniel Rees stood before the council leaders. Screens behind him showed the missing colonies, the last signals, and the silent black zones. "We have lost contact with 7 colonies in less than 12 hours, he said. "All human, all gone. We need to act." The alien leaders whispered among themselves. The tall, golden-skinned Ellerin, the insect-like Dravik, the cloud-bodied Morris. They all looked confused and afraid. "Impossible," said Council Head Vector of the Varnic Empire. "No species in the galaxy has warships. Weapons are forbidden." "That explained this," Reese said, playing the signal from Tryon 4. A horrible sound filled the chamber. Screams, explosions, and at the end, a deep alien voice. "We return. The peace is over." The room fell silent. Ambassador Reese leaned forward. "This is not random. Someone is targeting humans." Council Head Vector looked angry. "You accuse without proof." Reese stared back. "We don't accuse. We survive. If war is coming, we won't run from it." Back at Outwatch 7, alarms rang loudly. "Contact! We have a ship. No, a fleet coming out of slip space," Malik shouted. Lian Zhao stood up. Her mouth went dry. On the screen, dozens of alien ships appeared, black and sharp like knives in space. Red lights glowed on their hulls. No flag, no warning, just cold silence. Then a message came through. Zhao opened the comms. A voice spoke, deep and full of hate. "You were warned. 1,000 years ago, your kind brought fire. Now we return it." The message ended. "Who are they?" Malik whispered. Lian Zhao stared at the screen. "I don't know, but they're not here to talk." The alien ships opened fire. Outwatch 7 shook as explosions tore through its side. Alarms screamed. Fire spread across the control room. Zhao hit the emergency beacon. It sent one final signal back to Earth before the screen went black. On Earth, the signal arrived just before the feed cut. Earth Command went silent. Then, in a hidden facility beneath the Atlantic Ocean, an ancient protocol unlocked. A warning screen lit up, red, blinking, untouched for 1,000 years. Project Silence activated. General May Carter stood in front of the screen. Her face was lined with age, but her eyes were sharp. She turned to her officers. "Begin preparations. It's time." "Time for what, General?" one young officer asked. She looked at him, voice calm. "For humanity to remember who we really are." Earth was no longer quiet. After 1,000 years of peace, humanity faced war again. No one knew who the enemy was, but the message was clear: the peace is over. The Galactic Council met in a rush. Alien leaders from across the galaxy gathered in the central dome of Unity Station. Their faces were full of confusion, fear, and denial. Human Ambassador Daniel Rees stood at the center, facing them. 8 colonies have vanished, he said. 8 human settlements, gone in 2 days. No warning, no survivors. The insect-like Dravik leader buzzed in alarm. You think the peace is broken? Reese nodded. I don't think, I know. The Varnik are responsible. The council gasped. Vector, the proud leader of the Varnik Empire, slammed his fist on the table. Lies, we have not broken the pact. We are a peaceful race. Reese turned to him. Then why did we receive this from one of our dying colonies? He played the message again. The alien voice filled the room. You were warned. 1,000 years ago, your kind brought fire. Now we return it. Reese narrowed his eyes. The voice is Varnik. The ships are Varnik design. What do you call that if not war? Vector's face twisted. Those are old ships, long buried. We don't control them. Reese stepped forward. Whether you lost control or gave it willingly doesn't matter. Our people are dying, and we will respond. The other council members looked unsure. They were used to peace, used to soft voices and slow talk. But humanity had just been slapped awake, and they would not sit still. On Earth, deep underground, the facility known as Fort Helios came to life. This place had been forgotten by most. It wasn't listed on maps. It had no windows, but it held secrets from a time when humanity ruled through strength. Project Silence had been created at the end of the last war, a final backup plan in case peace ever failed. Now, it was awake. General May Carter walked down a long hallway lined with steel doors. Behind each door were weapons, ships, and programs locked away for generations. We hoped we'd never need this, she said. Beside her, Colonel Alvastone checked the activation codes, but we prepared anyway. Carter nodded, because peace is a gift, but not a promise. They entered the central command room. Giant screens lit up with warnings, data feeds, and fleet movement reports. On one screen, a red map showed enemy ships moving toward more human colonies. We'll lose another 4 colonies in the next 72 hours, Ava said. Not if we at first, Carter replied. Send the order. Activate the black arcs. Ava hesitated. Are we really doing this, General? Carter stared at the map. The Varnak think we're still soft. Let's remind them. High above the Earth, deep in orbit, massive black ships began to move. These were not exploration ships. They were not peaceful science vessels. These were black arcs, warships built before the peace, hidden away. Silent for centuries, now reawakened. One by one, they powered on. Engines roared. Energy shields rose. Weapons glowed. Across human space, sleeper fleets and old defense grids activated. AI units came online, cold and calculating. And for Mars, the most powerful warship humanity ever built, the Revenant, began final checks. Meanwhile, in Varnak space, something else was happening. Inside a dark command chamber, Varnak General Karth stood over a glowing table. Red lights blinked, enemy colonies destroyed, fleets advancing. Behind him, a younger officer asked, General, is this wise? Humanity is waking up. Karth growled, let them. Let the galaxy remember the monster it created. But the Council. The Council is weak, Karth snapped. We have waited 1,000 years. Hidden, trained. Now we take back what was stolen. He touched the control panel. A new fleet launched from deep space, hundreds of ships all ready for war. Back on Earth, Ambassador Reese received a message. He played it in his private office, a shaky video from a cargo pilot escaping from the edge of human space. In the video, a fleet of Varnak ships surrounded a human colony. Fires burned. People screamed. No rescue came. At the end, the pilot looked into the camera. They're not coming to talk. They're coming to finish us. Reese clenched his fists. Then he stood up and spoke into the comms. This is Daniel Reese, Ambassador of Earth. I hereby declare the peace pact is broken. Humanity will defend its own. The galaxy had forgotten what humans were. For 1,000 years, people saw them as scientists, doctors, and peaceful explorers. Gentle voices, friendly hands, open hearts. But now, colonies were burning. War had returned, and the humans were waking up. General May Carter stood inside the command center of Fort Helios, watching the war map. Red markers spread across the star charts. Each one a lost colony, each one a message from the Varnak. Revenant is almost ready, General, said Colonel Alvastone, checking the screen beside her. General Carter didn't smile. Her voice was calm and cold. Good. It's time they remembered what we buried. On Mars, the old warship Revenant stood like a mountain of steel and fire. Built before the Peace Pact, it was the most powerful ship ever made by human hands. Not just weapons, but AI-guided strategy systems, adaptive armor, stealth fields, and energy cannons strong enough to shatter moons. For centuries, it had slept beneath Martian soil, sealed in case of the unthinkable. Now it rose. Inside the ship, Captain Elias Rain ran final checks. He had never expected to sit in this seat. No one did. "Revenant is online," said the ship's eye, a calm female voice. "Weapons systems fully charged, awaiting orders." Elias looked out at the stars. "Let's show them what peace made us forget." Meanwhile, in deep space, a human colony called New Terra 9 was under attack. Varnic warships circled it like vultures. Fires burned across the sky. Civilians ran for cover as buildings exploded and defense drones failed. Inside the control tower, Director Mirahal shouted orders. "Evacuate the lower levels. Get the children to the shuttles." "But the escape ships are being shot down," a technician cried. Suddenly, the comms crackled. "This is Captain Elias Rain of the Revenant. Hold your ground. Help is coming." Before anyone could answer, the stars above the colony lit up. The Revenant dropped out of slipspace like a shadow falling across a battlefield. It opened fire. Massive energy blasts tore through Varnac ships. 1, 2, 3, gone in seconds. Human fighter drones followed, chasing the enemy down like wolves. The people of New Terra 9 looked up in shock. For the first time in days, they saw hope. Back on Earth, the news spread fast. Humanity strikes back. The Revenant returns. Peace is over. The war has begun. Millions of people watched the footage. Some cried, some cheered, some were afraid. But most of all, they remembered. Old veterans pulled out dusty medals. Young engineers reopened blueprints long forgotten. Even children began asking about Earth's old stories, about the time when humans weren't peaceful, but powerful. At the Galactic Council, chaos erupted. Ambassador Daniel Rees stood tall as alien leaders shouted at each other. "Humans have rearmed. You've broken the Peace Pact. You will bring fire to the stars again." Rees raised a hand. "No," he said. "We didn't start this war, but we will finish it." The insect-like Dravik ambassador leaned forward. "You said the Varnic attacked. Now you destroy their fleets. What comes next?" Rees looked him in the eye. "What comes next is justice." Far away in hidden Varnac territory, General Kareth slammed his claws onto a metal table. "Who gave them the Revenant? That ship should have been dust." His officers trembled. Kareth growled. "Fine. If they want to wake up the past, we'll show them ours." He turned to a locked door. Inside was Project Ghost Flame, a forgotten Varnic weapon, sealed for 1,000 years because it was too dangerous even for them. Now, it would rise again. Back on the Revenant, Captain Elias Rain walked through the silent halls of his ship. Every wall hummed with power. Every corridor glowed with red light. The ship felt alive. He reached the main viewing deck. Ahead of him, stars stretched out like a sea of possibilities and dangers. "This is just the beginning," he said softly. Behind him, the eye spoke. "Captain, I detect multiple enemy fleets moving toward human space." Elias nodded. "Then we move first. No more waiting." The humans had tried peace. They had given mercy. They had built a galaxy without fear. But now, someone had brought war to their doorstep. And humanity was answering. Not with words. Not with hope. But with fire. In the darkness of deep space, the Varnic fleet moved with confidence. They had destroyed human colonies, crushed defenses, silenced outposts. For the first time in 1,000 years, they felt powerful again. But they had made one mistake. They thought the humans had forgotten how to fight. On board the Varnic flagship Bloodcollar, General Kareth stood on a raised platform, his 4 arms folded behind his back. His yellow eyes watched the star map in silence. "Human resistance is growing," said his second-in-command. They'd reactivated old war fleets. The ship known as Revenant has already destroyed 2 of our attack groups. Kareth hissed, "Let them celebrate. Let them burn their fuel and shout their war cries. We still have more ships, more soldiers, more weapons." He turned to a sealed vault behind the bridge. "And now, we have Ghost Flame." The doors opened with a loud hiss. Inside, chained to a power cell, was a massive war drone, the last of the Ghost Flame Titans. Its body was covered in living armor. Its eyes glowed red with hate. It had no soul, no mercy, no limit. It had one purpose: destroy. Kara smiled. Let humanity meet true fear. Meanwhile, in Earth orbit, the Revenant floated like a dark blade above the planet. Inside the command center, Captain Elias Rain stared at a growing list of enemy movements. More Varnic fleets. More colony attacks. The war was spreading. He turned to his crew. What's the council saying? Lieutenant Saravos answered. They're panicking. Half of them still don't believe the Varnac are responsible. The other half want to negotiate. Elias laughed once. Negotiate with fire? The Varnac aren't here to talk. He turned to the ship's eye. Any word from Fort Helios? The eye's voice replied. Yes, Captain. General Carter has authorized Operation Emberfall. A silence fell over the crew. That was humanity's old battle plan, used only in the worst-case scenario. It meant full military engagement, no retreat, no mercy. Then it's official, Elias said. The time for waiting is over. Back on Earth, General May Carter stood in front of a giant display inside Fort Helios. On the screen were the locations of 10 secret human fleets, ships that hadn't flown in centuries, war platforms orbiting moons, weapon caches hidden under ice planets. We spent 1,000 years preparing for peace, she said to her officers. But we also prepared for this. She looked each one in the eye. The Varnac think we've gone soft. They think we forgot who we were. But they forgot why the galaxy feared us. She pointed to the map. We strike first, hard, and we don't stop until they're begging for peace or gone. In a hidden human lab on Titan, scientists were reactivating something old and terrifying. Project Solaris, a solar core missile capable of turning an entire moon into fire. One scientist whispered, I thought we'd never use this again. The lead engineer replied, we hoped. But hope doesn't stop fleets. The missile was loaded into a stealth cruiser. It vanished into the void, its target, the Varnac's hidden base. Back on the Revenant, Captain Elias Rain received the latest report. Sir, said Voss, the Varnac are preparing something big. Intel says something called Ghost Flame. Elias frowned. What is it? We don't know, but our spies say it's not a ship. It's a creature, a living weapon. The AI cut in. Captain, we have detected energy spikes. Enemy reinforcements are gathering near Ian Rift, close to 3 human colonies. Elias stood. Then we take the fight to them. He opened comms with Earth Command. Requesting full launch of Strike Fleet Delta, Revenant will lead the assault. Hours later, space near the Ian Rift exploded into war. The Revenant dropped out of slip space at the head of 20 human warships. Cannons roared. Missiles flew. Varnac ships turned in panic as the old fire returned. The humans didn't just fight. They hunted. Years of peace had made the galaxy slow, soft. But the humans? They had become efficient. Inside the Varnac flagship, alarms blared. Revenant is here, shouted an officer. We're being overwhelmed. General Karath's face twisted in rage. Then released the Ghost Flame Titan. The giant warp beast launched from the ship like a falling star. It roared across the battlefield, tearing through human ships like paper. But when it charged the Revenant, something strange happened. The ship didn't move. It didn't fire. Instead, its shields opened, and from inside came something even older. A weapon built for one purpose, to kill the unkillable. As the two monsters clashed, the galaxy watched. And for the first time in 1,000 years, everyone understood one truth. The Varnac made a mistake. They thought humans had forgotten. But humans had simply waited. The battlefield above the Ion Rift burned like a dying star. Explosions flashed in every direction. Varnac warships broke apart. Human fighters moved fast, sharp, clean, deadly. Space was filled with screams and static. But in the center of it all, 2 ancient monsters fought in silence. The Ghost Flame Titan, Varnac's nightmare weapon, tore toward the Revenant. And the humans? They had answered with their own monster, Unit 7, an old combat AI merged with living tech made for one job: hunt and destroy anything that thinks it can't be killed. Inside the Revenant, alarms blared. Shields at 30%, shouted Lieutenant Saravos. We can't hold much longer, Captain. Captain Elias Rain watched the monster outside. The Ghost Flame Titan roared, swinging plasma-coated claws, carving pieces from nearby ships. But Unit 7, small, fast, and deadly, moved like a whisper. It didn't try to match the Titan's strength. It outthought it. Dodging each strike, it fired focused beams at the Titan's joints, sensors, and weak points. The crew watched with awe as the battlefield turned into a personal duel. "Sir," the eye said, "Unit 7 requests authorization to initiate Protocol Omega." Elias' jaw tightened. "That'll burn half its core." "Yes," the eye said, "but it will win." "Do it." In the dark of space, Unit 7 stopped moving. The Ghost Flame Titan roared and charged. And then Unit 7 exploded forward, faster than before, blazing with red light, leaving a trail of energy in its path. It slammed into the Titan, carving straight through its armored chest. The Varnic weapon screamed, a terrible alien sound, and then, in a flash of white-blue fire, it died. The battlefield went quiet. Inside the Varnic command ship, General Kareth slammed his claws into the console. "Impossible! That was our final edge." His officers looked pale. "General, the Ghost Flame is gone, and the humans are advancing." Kareth bared his teeth. "Then run. Regroup. Fall back to Station Prexus. We fight again later." "But sir," the officer said quietly, "what if they follow?" Kareth looked at the battlefield, and for the first time, he hesitated. "The Revenant," the crew cheered. But Captain Rain didn't smile. "We won this battle," he said, "not the war." General Carter's face appeared on the main screen from Fort Helios. "Well done, Captain. That strike saved 3 colonies." "Thank you, ma'am," Rain said. "But we're picking up chatter. The Varnic are retreating and regrouping." Carter's eyes narrowed. "They're going to strike harder next time." "And we're running out of time," Rain added. "They're not afraid of peace anymore. They want domination." Elsewhere, on Varnic Prime, in a secret War Council chamber, the Varnic Emperor listened in silence. Kareth stood before him, beaten and angry. "We lost the Titan," Kareth said. "The humans are stronger than expected." The Emperor's voice was deep and calm. "You thought 1,000 years would make them soft." Kareth growled, "They should be soft." The Emperor stood. "No, they are like metal left in fire. Quiet, until struck, then they cut deep." He turned toward the stars. "Now we fight the real war." At Unity Station, the Galactic Council was in chaos. Some species called for peace. Others wanted to side with the Varnic, afraid of humanity's power. Most were simply stunned by what they had seen. Ambassador Daniel Rees stood alone at the center. He played the footage, again, of the Ghost Flame Titan falling. Then he spoke. "Let us be clear, we did not start this, but we will finish it." He looked around the room, calm and deadly. "If you stand with us, we will protect you. If you stand against us," he paused, "you will burn like the Ghost Flame." Back at the war front, human ships pushed deeper into Varnac space. Colonel Ava Stone led Strike Fleet Echo. Their orders were simple. Destroyed Varnac fuel depots, comm towers, and supply lines. One by one, enemy bases fell. The Varnac were no longer hunting. They were hiding. But deep in the cold dark, the Varnac were building something. A fleet larger than anything seen in the last 1,000 years. New weapons, new monsters, new war machines. And at its center, a ship called the Ember Maw, so large it could swallow cities whole. The final weapon. The last hope of the Varnic Empire. Their mistake had been waking the humans. But now, they were planning to erase them. The silence before war is never quiet. It's full of whispers. Heavy steps, loaded guns. Soldiers breathing slowly in the dark. The galaxy held its breath. Because the final battle was coming, and the skies would burn. High above the ruined planet Kreska 4, the Varnac's new war fleet gathered like a storm. Over 300 ships. Fighter swarms, capital dreadnoughts, shielded transports, and in the middle, their new monster, the Ember Maw. A superweapon the size of a small moon. Its front looked like the mouth of a beast. It was made to destroy entire planets in one strike. General Kareth stood on its command deck, armor black and red. "No more testing," he growled. "No more warnings. We wipe Earth clean." Behind him, Varnac officers roared in agreement. On the human side, chaos turned into focus. Inside Fort Helios, General May Carter stood before the biggest war table Earth had ever activated. Fleet commanders, AI units, and alien allies from smaller neutral species joined in via hologram. "We have confirmed Varnac's plan," she said. "They're coming straight for Earth. This is not a raid. It's an extinction strike." No one moved. Carter continued, but they forgot one thing. She had a command. The map exploded with human ship icons. "We are ready." From across the galaxy, Earth's true fleet rose. Ships hidden for centuries. Orbital cannons reawakened. War carriers once locked under Jupiter's ice returned to orbit. And leading it all, the Revenant, now repaired, upgraded, and burning with purpose. Captain Elias Rain stepped onto the bridge. His crew stood ready, silent, steady. He looked out the viewing glass. They wanted to erase us. Let's show them why that's impossible. Near Earth's orbit, the two fleets met. It wasn't a battle. It was an apocalypse. The Varnak struck first. Waves of fighters screamed through the black, blasting into human lines. Dreadnoughts launched energy blasts that shook planets nearby. The Ember Maw charged its main cannon. The skies turned red. But the humans answered with fire of their own. The Revenant tore through ships like a blade through silk. Its eye-guided cannons made every shot count. Its shields bent but didn't break. Fleet Echo flanked the enemy's side. Fleet Omega dropped out of slipspace behind the Varnak lines, cutting off escape. Earth's space burned, but held. In the chaos, the Ember Maw fired. A beam of energy wide as a city tore across space, hitting one of Earth's defense moons. It shattered in a storm of dust. General Carter saw it on the screen. "They'll try again," she said. Her voice didn't shake. "Then we hit first." She ordered Project Solaris to fire, the forbidden missile made from a stolen star core. The human superweapon launched. 30 seconds later, a Varnak dreadnought vanished in a white flash. The Ember Maw shuddered under the shockwave. Inside the Revenant, the ship's eye spoke. "Captain, I have calculated the Ember Maw's weakness. Its core is exposed when charging." Ray nodded. "Then we wait for that moment." Lieutenant Voss turned. "Sir, you're not going to attack it directly." "I am," he said. "With the Revenant? Alone, if I have to." Voss hesitated. "That's suicide?" "No," Rain said. "That's war." As the Ember Maw prepared its second shot, its front panels opened again. It began to glow. And the Revenant charged. Varnak ships tried to block its path. It tore through them. They fired everything. Missiles, cannons, drones. Still, the Revenant came. Inside the Ember Maw, General Karth shouted, "Destroy that ship. Now." But it was too late. The Revenant plunged forward, straight into the Ember Maw's mouth, and detonated its Omega core. A silent light filled the galaxy. Then, boom. The Ember Maw cracked, split, broke apart like glass. Fire and wreckage spilled across the stars. From Earth, people watched in silence. Then, cheering. The monster was gone. The skies had burned. But Earth stood tall. General Carter's voice rang across all human channels. "The enemy is broken. The rest of their fleet is scattering. We will not chase them. We will not become monsters. But make no mistake." She looked into the camera. "If they ever come again, we will be ready." In the ruins of the Ember Maw, escape pods drifted. Kareth floated among them, broken, defeated. And for the first time he understood. This war should never have happened. Silence returned to the stars. But it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of memory. A silence filled with wreckage, fallen ships, and echoes of fire. The Varnak War was over. But the galaxy would never forget what had happened. And more importantly, they would never forget what the humans had become. On Earth, across every city, people gathered beneath the skies. Giant screens showed the last image of the war, the Revenant flying into the Ember Maw, and ending the threat forever. The crew had been lost. Captain Elias Rain had died with his ship, but his name would never be forgotten. Statues were built, songs were written. Even children who had never seen war spoke his name with respect, not because he destroyed the enemy, but because he reminded the galaxy of one truth. Humans protect, but never provoke, until pushed too far. At Fort Helios, General May Carter stood before the Unified Defense Council. Some of the alien leaders looked nervous, others looked ashamed, a few were still silent. Carter didn't shout. She didn't threaten. She simply said, "We asked for peace. We begged for it. We waited. We warned." She tapped a button. Screens showed Varnak attacks, burning colonies, screaming civilians. And then the Ember Maw. "We never wanted war, but we will never kneel." She looked them in the eye. If any empire thinks we're still the same weak humans from 1,000 years ago, they're welcome to try. No one spoke, because they believed her. On a quiet moon near the edge of space, the surviving Varnak gathered. Leaderless, shipless, scared. General Kareth, broken and scarred, sat in silence. His eyes stared at the stars. One younger soldier approached. "What do we do now, sir?" Kurth didn't answer for a while. Finally, he said, "We learn." He looked up, voice low. "We thought they were soft, that peace made them weak, but peace made them patient." He touched the deep scar on his chest, "And we taught them how to fight again." At Unity Station, Ambassador Daniel Reese addressed the Council for the last time. Behind him, the flags of every species who had joined humanity's defense. "The war has ended," he said, "but something greater has begun." He gestured to the stars outside the viewing window. "We will not isolate ourselves, but we will not forget either. We invite peace. We will trade, speak, and protect." His voice grew cold, "But never bow." Then he added something the galaxy would remember forever. "Respect is not given to humans because of fear. Fear exists because respect was ignored. Years passed. The war became history. But its lessons were carved into the minds of all who lived. The Varnak never rose again. Their empire splintered, broken by guilt and failure. But humanity? Humanity thrived. Their fleets remained strong, but hidden. Their leaders remained calm, but ready. They returned to science, art, and exploration, but always watching. Because peace was a gift, and some in the galaxy liked to break gifts. On the rebuilt spaceport, where the Revenant once launched, a young cadet looked up at a statue of Captain Rain. A plaque read, "He gave fire to the stars, so others could walk in peace." The cadet whispered, "One day, I'll fly like him." Behind her, an old veteran smiled. "You won't need to fight," he said. "It's what he did. Maybe you never will." And far beyond Earth, in the black between galaxies, an unknown probe floated silently. It carried one message, broadcast endlessly into the void. "To any who find this, we are the children of Earth. We tried peace. We answered war. And we survived. This is our galaxy too." The end.